ask James Byrne from the Wildlife Trust now to present his talk on action for insects, and then again we'll have a Q&A afterwards. So again, I just encourage you to type any questions you do have in the chat box. Diolch yn fawr iawn, James.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah,
okay,
I can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, right. Well, thank you very much. My name is James Byrne. I'm the Living Landscapes Manager for Wildlife Trust Wales, and I'm here to talk to you about action for insects, or the unnoticed apocalypse. The Wildlife Trust have been focusing on action for insects for some time. We've come out with 2 reports recently on the plight of insects, authored by or with Professor Dave Goulson. We've created many guides for people to take action, for people, for schools, for communities to take action as well. And we've even highlighted this and received support for action for insects at the highest levels in the UK. So what's the problem? As one example, entomologist Santos Bayo et al. Concluded a scientific review in 2019 of all existing evidence of insect declines. Their work revealed dramatic rates of decline that may lead to the extinction of 41% of the world's insect species in the next few decades. 41%. That is catastrophic. So what are the main causes? Well, Santos Bayo et al. Did a review, and they've highlighted the main drivers of insect loss. But today I'm only going to concentrate on pesticides. Pesticides is a general term used for a variety of chemical and biological products to kill or control living organisms such as rodents, insecticides, insects, etc. The term pesticide includes herbicides, insecticides, nematicides, molluscicides, rodenticides, bactericides, and fungicides, and much more. Pesticides are used by the agriculture sector on arable grass, on arable land, grassland, horticulture crops, and veterinary medicines. It's used by the forestry sector, by public authorities, by the construction and maintenance industry, the transport sector, along general public, and businesses as well. There's a growing body of evidence that pesticides can become more harmful when combined, a phenomenon known as the cocktail effect. DEFRA's chief scientist, Ian Boyd, stated that it is not currently possible to predict the environmental repercussions of landscape use of large pesticides. James,
we seem to be losing you.
Is that better? Hi? Okay.
Yeah, that seems better.
Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, so the use of pesticides and the destruction of insects and insect populations has implications right throughout the food chain because everything eats insects. Pesticides are also known to have a huge detrimental impact on human health as well. For example, glyphosate is the most commonly used herbicide in the world, including by most, if not all, Welsh local authorities. The World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer formally classified glyphosate as a probable carcinogen. Now, it's worth noting that the manufacturers dispute this. However, they have agreed a $10 billion settlement in the case alleging pesticide caused cancer, specifically non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Unions such as the GMB Union and Unite Union have called for a ban on it to protect its members and the public. B&Q, Waitrose, Dobie's, Garden Centre, Morrison's and others have all taken it off their shelves because of the risk of cancer. So if they're doing it, why are we still applying it in our parks and gardens? So when glyphosate was relicensed in the EU, it was with a specific condition. The new regulation stated that member states should, and I quote, ensure that the use of plant protection products containing glyphosate is minimized or prohibited in areas such as public parks and gardens, sports and recreation grounds, school grounds, and children's playgrounds, and in close vicinity of healthcare facilities. So what protections are there against unsustainable use of pesticide directive? Well, there's a sustainable use of pesticides directive, which is transposed into the UK by the Plant Protection Products Regulations 2012. It requires member states to have a national action plan with quantitative objectives, targets, measures, and timetables to reduce risks and impacts of pesticide use on human health and the environment. It also looks to ban or minimize the use of pesticides in sensitive areas, and has a variety of other measures, including allowing for financial incentives such as pesticide taxes. However, in the UK, this is implemented mainly through voluntary initiatives, which is why most councils in the UK still use glyphosate in public areas. The UK NAP, as it's called, is weak, but DEFRA is consulting on it very, very soon. There are veterinary medicines as well. On the veterinary side of things, it's controlled by the Veterinary Medicine Regulation. This is periodically reviewed and revoked and replaced after consultation with industry groups. The use of veterinary medicines is subject to cost regulations, which require contractors to assess and control the risks of hazardous substances. But these are focused on human health, not on environmental health. But this too should be coming up for review. So the use of pesticides in farms. Our farmers use a myriad of pesticides on each acre of arable land. A total of nearly 17,000 tons of toxins are released as pesticides onto the land in the UK each year, covering 73 million hectares. However, this doesn't include veterinary medicines. In Wales, the total area of agricultural land treated with pesticides is 700,000, just over 700,000. That's 1%. That's less than 1% of the UK total. Wales' figure is relatively low, which gives Wales a great opportunity to lead on the sustainable use of pesticides with relatively little disruption. Wales could be a catalyst for the full and holistic adherence to the principles within the Sustainable Use Directive. For example, integrated pest management as a core tool for farmers in reducing pesticide use. A recent review of integrated pest management cropping systems found that there are opportunities for pesticide reduction in many parts of Europe without significant loss of crops. In fact, another study showed that a substantial decrease in pesticide use would have no negative impact on either productivity or profitability on 77% of the non-organic farms analysed. So what about vet meds? Well, now let's talk about poo, as every good ecological conference should be talking about animal poo. Fresh droppings are quickly inhabited by a range of specialized insects, which rely on their dung for their life cycle, laying eggs which hatch into larvae, which feed on this organic matter to grow before turning into adults. Specifically, dung beetles. There are 60 species of dung beetles in the UK, one of the world's strongest animals, and they save the cattle industry an estimated £367 million a year, with control of gastrointestinal parasites.
We're losing you again, James. Just a second.
A quick drink. Well, hopefully that recalibrates.
Do you want to just
okay
start again?
On the slide? Do you want me to do my joke on poo again?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to talking about poo.
Yeah.
Poo is very important, people. So as I was saying, dung beetles can save the cattle industry an estimated £367 million a year in the UK, with control of gastrointestinal parasites as a key contributing factor. And that's the phrase I didn't want to have to repeat. Dung beetles reduce problem fly populations by transporting mites that eat fly eggs. They might use dung beetles as an Uber, jumping on and off, hitching a ride, laying their own eggs in the poo, eating fly eggs, and then jumping back on. Dung beetles act as biological control agents for gastrointestinal parasites of livestock. They consume dung, thereby removing it from the fields, thus reducing pasture fouling. They bury the dung for breeding purposes, laying their eggs inside the poo when they pull it down, thus returning essential nutrients to the soil, improving grass growth for grazing animals. They tunnel through the soil, which breaks it up, enhancing soil structure and therefore having a positive influence on hydrological properties of the soil. They act as an important food source for hundreds of species of birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, including greater horseshoe bats and choughs. Dung beetles are seen as a valuable tool for which to measure biodiversity and habitat change, and are increasingly considered as a key indicator species. However, dung beetles and other invertebrates, soil-based, are adversely affected by ivermectin-based products. Worm control, while is a vital part of the health and production management of livestock farming in the UK, worms can affect animal performance in a number of ways by reducing feed intake, growth rate, carcass weight and composition, fertility, and milk yield. However, studies of livestock have found that the presence of ivermectin slow the degradation of dung due to its harmful effects on dung insects. This is because between 67 and 98% of the ivermectin inoculated into animals may be excreted unchanged residue in feces. And ivermectin is the most common pesticide used to control parasites in livestock. One study recently showed short-term psychological and behavior effects of ivermectin on dung beetles may have long-term consequences for beetle populations and ecosystem functioning. Conventional use of ivermectin disrupts the diversity by affecting abundance and biomass of dung beetles, reducing in the functional efficiency of dung degradation, resulting in the accumulation of manure. So in Wales, how is this a big problem? Well, there is over 400,000 cattle in Wales. On average, cattle produce 9 tons of dung a year, and there's over 9 million sheep in Wales, which produce more than 800 kilograms of dung each year. That's a lot of waste to recycle, and dung beetles can do it all year round. So given the amount of grazing land there is in Wales, this is bound to have a significant impact on our insects. So is there something we can do about it? Well, there are many ways we can mitigate or eliminate the impact of dung beetles, thus maintaining and enhancing their populations and providing significant ecosystem services. One is treating animals only when necessary, which will slow the rate of pesticide resistance, and cutting down the use of pesticides on farms with a sustainable worm control policy that includes rotating livestock and using herbal lays. And herbal lays can reduce the need for worming, plus promote pollinators. A good example of the use of herbal lays in farming is from the RSPB and Bumblebee Conservation Trust's pasture for pollinators program. That hasn't been looking at gastrointestinal issues, but it is a good example of how a more enlightened approach to farming can have multiple benefits. Another way, what we can do in a very substantial way, is substituting the use of more toxic pesticides with less toxic pesticides. And if we're using ivermectin products, avoid their use in March to October, which is when the insects are most active, especially taking care to avoid long-acting formulas. So what can be done? In the UK, the National Action Plan is soon to be released by DEFRA for consultation. In this National Action Plan, we will be asking for the government to set an ambitious pesticide reduction target. This has been implemented in other countries such as Denmark. It's not unique and has to lead to a significant reduction. Oh man. We'll also be asking for a genuine integrated pest management approach to be adopted in Wales. And if not, and included in Sustainable Land Management Act and actions. And if not, we will be asking for a Welsh National Action Plan. You may have seen recently that research found that another pesticide, fipronil, is being found in fleet treatments. In 99% of samples from 20 rivers, and the fipronil was found. And in one particular toxic breakdown product of the pesticide was 38 times above the safety limits. This is a time when aquatic insects are also declining due to agricultural pollution and other forms of pollution, water pollution. Fipronil and then another nerve agent called inorbutycopolis, a neonicotinoid, was found in rivers, but them agents have been banned from the use in farms since 2017. The washing of pets flush fipronil into the sewers and rivers, and while dogs swimming in rivers provides another pathway for contamination. These chemicals are so potent that even in tiny concentrations, one flea treatment of a medium-sized dog contains enough pesticide to kill 60 million bees. So how big a problem is it? Well, there are about 10 million dogs in the UK and 11 million cats. So this potentially could be extremely widespread. So back to kind of more traditional pesticides. If we have an integrated pest management or integrated weed management policy for local authorities, then we can reduce, if not eliminate, the use of pesticides in our towns, in our cities, in our school grounds, in our hospital grounds. First of all, we need to know what is a weed. A weed is just a plant growing in the wrong place. It could be a wildflower. We should all have a greater level of acceptance of more weediness, especially now in a time of climate change, biodiversity crisis, COVID, and the likely recession. We should not be spending our time and money complaining about weed or tackling weeds. But if we do, then what can be done? Well, we need to know the requirements for life of a plant, and that's growth medium, sunlight, and air. And if we can tackle any one of these, we can stop weeds from growing. There are a few easy wins when it comes to reducing weeds and hard surfaces. Removing the growth medium, prevent photosynthesis, destroying the leaves, and starve the plant by blocking the channels that the plants use to transport nutrients to the soil, to the roots and the leaves. We can create pesticide-free zones, pesticide-free towns, just like many other cities around the world, including New York, Paris, Barcelona, many parts of London and Dublin. In fact, France banned the use of pesticides in green public spaces in 2017 and banned the use of pesticides in private gardens in 2019. So there's no reason to use pesticides in our towns. The only thing we grow in towns and cities is children. So what are the alternatives? Apart from accepting more weediness, we can maximize the effectiveness of various methods done by doing the set of jobs at the right time of year: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. So we can, by removing detritus from the surface quickly, is the first line of defense against weeds taking hold. Then we could use weed brushes, removing soil and moss from block paving, gravel paths, and path edgings. And we can also do weed burning. When heated to 70 to 80 degrees, the cells of the plant burst. This prevents the plant from being able to photosynthesize. A young plant will wilt and die within a few hours. Perennial plants might take a bit longer. Equipment can be fitted to tractors on the front and rear linkages. Your tractors can be turned into an all-year-round tool for fighting weeds, as well as cutting grass, as it can be fitted with a sweeper, a blower, a weed brusher, a gravel path renovator, or a weed burner. But there are also other methods as well. This is foam stream. It is an environmentally safe solution for controlling unwanted vegetation, all surfaces, moss, weeds, algae, in all weather, all year round. By using heat in hot water insulated by a biodegradable foam blanket, the foam stops the heat escaping to the atmosphere, keeping the heat on the plant for longer, ensuring a more effective kill. Sterilization of the surrounding seed and spores also help reduce regrowth. And the foam stream manufacturers say it can kill coronavirus particles as well. It can also be used for outdoor cleaning as well. Foam stream is used by Wrexham Council, David Moore Council, Flint, and as well as Welsh Water.
James, again. Sorry, just take a second.
Could I just cut in very quickly as well? We're running against the clock a little bit,
Okay.
James.
I've just got two more slides. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
I've just got 2 more slides. Yeah. And yeah, so this foam stream is used by Wrexham Council, Vale Glamorgan Council, Flintshire Council, and Denbighshire councils, as well as Welsh Water. And this is another root wave. It uses electricity to boil weeds inside out from, and it is used by the Environment Agency, English Heritage, amongst others. So at the very least, we need to be phasing out the use of pesticides in urban areas, in green spaces, pavings around schools and hospitals. We need to work with DEFRA on the DEFRA consultation on national action for pesticides, the UK government on influencing the veterinary medicine regulations, and Welsh government to go above and beyond on pesticide regulations or have a Welsh National Action Plan on the sustainable use of pesticides. Thank you. That's it.